Well, again, good morning and welcome to our morning plenary session. We are happy to see that you all made it up this morning and are here for really a treat with our keynote speaker. Just a few housekeeping matters. We have a full day today of professional development workshops throughout the day. And we will go into an evening or late afternoon plenary session at 3 o'clock, from 3 to 4. We will have a break, and at 5 o'clock, we'll have a reception for the annual awards banquet. So that's basically the schedule today. I want to remind you to please, when you attend events, go to the app, the Hoover app, and be sure to fill out your evaluation form. That input is really important to us, for us, to evaluate and assess and figure out ways in which we can move forward in improving the conference next year. So with that said, I'm excited to introduce our student performer today. She is a junior student at Columbus City Schools Afrocentric School, and she's going to do a presentation or performance on the spoken word. Please join me in welcoming Mackenzie Lewis.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mackenzie Lewis. I am 16 years old and a student from Columbus Afrocentric Early College. And the topic of my oration is Black Girl. Black girl, what do you see? America looking at me with hate-filled eyes and negativity. Black girl, what do they say? You are too loud and wild. I'm not wasting time on you, no way. Black girl, what do you do? I suffer in silence. What else can I do? Black girl, what are you told? Speak up, it's my truth. Go ahead and be bold. Black girl, what happens when you do? I'm called disrespectful, suspended, expelled, labeled. Oh yes, they called the police on me too. Black girl, how does this make you feel? Like a zombie, wearing a smile, hiding the hurt and pain I fight from an eternal war that leaves me numb, defenseless, and unable to heal. My body is not pierced by bullets, but I am shot mentally. No, I don't have a knee on my neck, but I am suffocated emotionally. I am slaughtered by programs and systems that were never built for me. Black girl, what have you learned? That not everybody who says they want to do for me is actually good for me. Mama says, little black girl, be careful who prays for you. You never know what their praying may do. A prayer you may think is meant for good can actually do more harm than good. Black girl, what have you... Black girl, what will you do? I'll speak up, I'll advocate, and yes, I'll go ahead and be bold. I'll continue standing on the shoulders of black girls who are now women, who have sacrificed much, so this black girl could have more. More opportunities, more experiences, and more examples of greatness to follow. I will say, black girl, the glass ceiling of you can't has now been shattered by black women who did. I will say, black girl, stand strong and make those letters behind your name an AA, a BS, a MA, a JD, a MD, or a PhD instead of OCD, ADD, PTSD, or even ADHD. I will say, black girl, Dr. King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Yes, they did kill the dreamer we called Dr. King, but they did not kill his dream, because you, black girl, are that dream. I'll remind them that slavery may have been in our past, but it is not where we started, nor is it our future. We black girls come from warrior women like Queen Hatshepsut, who ruled as Pharaoh of Egypt's 18th dynasty. Resilient leaders like Queen Nzinga, who fought against the slave trade in Central Africa. And yes, we black girls come from the Dahomey Amazon women, an all-female military troop with incredible courage and bravery in combat. I will encourage black girls to never be afraid to show their intelligence, their courage, and their boldness. I'd yell to them like the Wakandan Queen Mother to show them who you are. You are young, you are gifted, and you are black, girl. America can be cruel and unkind. The systems can swallow you whole. But black girl, what's your passion? What's your superpower? Once you find it, use it to crush the systems, crush the diagnosis, and crush the self-hate that America has piled on us. Change your story and you change the world. Yes, changing your story can be hard, but here is my hand and we will walk together like the mythical phoenix and we will rise. Be confident, be empowered, be proud, be resilient, be unapologetically black, and you be you, girl. We have many examples of greatness to follow, so let's be the change we want to see, the change Dr. King did not have a chance to live to see. Thank you.
Mackenzie. Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask Miss Angela Richburg to come forward and introduce our guest speaker.
Good morning, everyone. And Miss Mackenzie, you make me so proud to be a black girl still striving to become my black woman. Nonetheless, today we are going to welcome Mr. Robert Jackson. For every problem, there is a solution is Robert's motto. Jackson began his teaching career 27 years ago in Indianapolis Public Schools after being cut from the NFL Minnesota Vikings in 1995. He has become one of the world's most sought-after speakers in the country, delivering keynote addresses, workshops to educators, administrators, parents, and students. Mr. Jackson has written and published several books and has written articles for ASCD, EL Leadership magazine. His ASCD book, Becoming the Educator They Need, Strategies, Mindsets, and Beliefs for Supporting Male, Black, and Latino Students, won the Gold Excel Award for Technical Writing, and his soon-to-be released book is For Mothers Raising Sons. He attended Western Kentucky University, where he received a bachelor's degree in industrial technology while lettering 4 years in both football and track. He has keynoted and conducted workshops at national conferences, including ASCD, ESEA, CASA, NAPSE, OABSE, SREB, Innovative School Summit, AMLE, and AASA. Mr. Jackson has received numerous awards for his work. He is a lifetime member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated and the NFL Players Association. It is a plum-pleasing pleasure to present Mr. Robert Jackson.
Good morning. How y'all doing? Well, y'all up early this morning. Got me up here on Saturday. Miss Mackenzie, how am I supposed to follow that? That's our keynote speaker right there. Is it Miss Mackenzie? Is that your name? Yes, sir. I said, how am I supposed to follow that? There is nothing more powerful than the voice of our children. And I see Mackenzie up here speaking, and I have a teenage daughter. So I have a daughter who would be 16 in July. So when Mackenzie's up here speaking, I couldn't help but think about my baby girl that I'm going back to see today when I leave here today. So Miss Mackenzie, please continue to do what you're doing. Continue to use your voice, because what you're doing is more than what some adults are doing. Because many of us have to learn how to use our voices, because when you become silent about things that matter, that means you're consenting to it. And I'm watching some of the things that's transpiring over the last several years, especially with our young people. And I see this video of a young lady attacking a teacher, right? And I said, there are so many kids that are broken. And as adults, many of us have been broken ourselves. And we have forgotten what brokenness is, because if you have gone through some kind of trauma yourself or some kind of family dysfunction, we got to stop acting brand new with our children. Because leadership doesn't require a title, but everybody with a title is not a leader. And leadership, just because you dress it up and just because you run around with all those degrees, that don't make you a leader. You know what makes you a leader? Humility, servanthood. Because the greatest leader of all times was also the greatest servant of all time. Some of you know his name. Because how you going to call yourself a leader if you're not a servant? And leadership takes servanthood. And I know I'm kind of deviating from my original presentation, but I'm not led by presentations. I'm led by the Spirit. And many of us have forgotten why we got into this profession. This time of the year is when educators are burned out. And many of us have forgotten why we got into this profession. We have forgotten our why. I can't forget my why, because I was suspended from a lot of schools back when I was a youngster. Oh, why y'all laughing? Ain't none of y'all ever been suspended? Raise your hand if you got suspended from school as a student. Look at you. Your suspended self still in here. You know how? You learn how to persevere. You learn how to overcome some obstacles. Why are we so judgmental of our children? I have 3 kids. I have a son who just graduated from college about 1.5 years ago, who's now also my frat brother. And we just celebrated 33 years in the bond. Brother Maceo, man, don't be hating on the Noops, man. We still got love for the Divine Nine up in here. Right? So my son, he makes 25, but you know, we have this microwave society with some of our young people. Anybody know what I'm talking about? See, he wants to put his food in the microwave. I put my food in the oven. Right? And he said, why, Dad, that takes too long. Why do you put your food in the oven? I said, because proper preparation prevents poor performance. I say, I take my time and do things the right way. So you got 3 sets of people in the woods. You got the young people, you got the babies, and then you got the elderly folks. They call me the elderly folks. You know, I done reached 50, so now I'm elderly. So I take that on. He said, Dad, you're getting old. I said, no, I'm getting wiser. I said, because every single day that I'm on this planet, I'm getting wiser. See, many of us have not learned the lesson yet. We got 3 sets of people in the woods. You got the babies, and then you got the young people, and then you have the, what I say we are? Elderly. Any old school folks up in here? Besides me and Harvey? Right? So we got the elderly. So woods catch on fire. Who gonna burn up? Why y'all looking strange? Baby's not gonna burn up because we're gonna get them out. We're going to get the babies out first, and then the wood's on fire, and many of our young people, and I'm not talking about Miss McKenzie, because we got some young people out here striving to be great, who are conscious, that are woke. I'm talking about some of the ones who are lost in the storm. I said, young man, you're running full speed in the wrong direction. He said, Mr. Jackson, what do you mean by that? I said, I remember when I was younger and I used to run fast, but I was running fast in the wrong direction because God wastes youth on the young. Somebody missed that. I'm gonna come back and say it again. I said, God wastes youth on the young. Some of y'all still think you 20. You gotta stop doing that. Worrying about what she wearing. She got that short skirt on. That was you 20 years ago. Why you hating? Running around here, he all buffed up and stuff. Well, you stop skipping leg day. Maybe you look like it. See, many of us have forgotten who we are. And I said, they're running full speed in the wrong direction. I said, yes, son, I'm not fast as I used to be, but I learned how to maneuver through some situations. I said, when them grays start growing on my hair, when I had hair, I said, I learned how to maneuver through some situations. That's what we have to teach our young people, because there's power in our youth. And many of us still don't get that, Dr. Jones. This is your group up here in Toledo, Ohio. You know, many of us don't get that. See, what is our number one assignment as educators? See, many of us have forgotten the assignment. We don't have jobs, we have assignments. And when that assignment is up, it's time for you to move on to the next assignment. Some of you have gotten stagnated where you are. You want to stay in that position so long, you're gonna die in that position instead of getting somebody ready for it. Who are you mentoring? Who are you grooming to do what you do? Who are you mentoring and grooming, and who are you getting ready for the throne? Or you want to sit on it forever? Man, I ain't doing this forever, Dr. Cleveland. We was talking last night, having a meeting on how we going to exit our way up out of this thing. Brother Harvey was telling me, he said, I used to do that years ago. I used to travel like that. I said, man, I'm ready to cut it down. I'm ready to shut this thing down. I need somebody to step up and step in place because many of us have forgotten our position. See, there's some things that doesn't require talent. See, I played sports and people look at me because I went to the pros. I said, I wasn't a good athlete. I wasn't. I felt like I was born with 2 left feet. I was slow. I was the only black dude running a mile in middle school. Why y'all looking funny? I said running a mile, that's 4 laps, that's a 1600. I was the only black dude running the mile. Most of my other friends was running sprints because I wasn't the best athlete. But I would watch what the best did. And then when they left the track, I would go out there and do twice what he did. Right? So eventually, by the time I left high school, I was MVP. And by the time I left college, I was going to the National Football League. We have to teach our kids, they got to learn how to crawl before they walk. The only place success come before work is in the dictionary. How you going to call yourself successful? You ain't put in no work. And that's why I tell you, we go to a restaurant and eat. And I remember my son, when he was younger, he got his own place now. And his own place was really my place. They renting from me, but we got any parents up in here? Do our kids ever leave us? Goodness gracious, boy, they always in our pockets, aren't they? I said, you gonna rent from somebody, might as well rent from me, right? But I remember when he was younger and we go to a restaurant and I will order certain things. I order some crab legs or I order a steak and some lobster. And he said, I'm gonna have the same thing my dad had. What? Boy, you 10 years old. He's gonna have the strips, chicken strips and fries. He haven't earned no steak and lobster. Any parents know what I'm talking about? See, it's us. See, many of us have coddled and spoiled our children. And we wonder why they where they are. See, we have to expose them to something different. Many of them have not been exposed, so they don't understand going without. Some of your iron didn't work all the time when you was younger. You used to put them pants up under the mattress. Anybody remember that? See, some of you acting brand new now when you run out of food and you eating ketchup and mustard sandwiches. See, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And some people can't relate. See, our kids don't understand that, but we expect them to get it. And we haven't even taught them yet. There are 10 things I want to share with you today. I wasn't even planning on doing this. 10 things that don't require talent. Number 1, the first thing that doesn't require you to have any talent is your effort. And effort is coming in every day. Half the battle is showing up for work in the morning. Anybody ever got to work in the morning and felt like driving off? If you have not done that, you have not been in education long enough. Because there were times where I showed up at the same school I got expelled from. Don't judge me. There was a little cheerleader I liked at the school, and I wasn't really supposed to be going to the school, but there was young lady. Why y'all looking at me funny? Y'all sitting up here cringing about the Freaknik video. So if you in it, you in it. We were some kids back then. Anyway, I digress. Young lady I like at the school, so I'm showing up to the school every day, but I live across town, so some of the guys knew I lived across town, so this gang rivalry stuff, and I wasn't in no gang or nothing like that, but they knew I lived on that side of town, so I became a target. But I just said I wasn't supposed to be at the school in the first place. Because some of us find ourselves in the wrong positions, in the wrong places, at the wrong time, and it's our own doing because our decisions have put us where we are. But after I got kicked out of that school for the 4th time, I ended up going to this school and I'm putting in the effort. And I came back to that same school to start my teaching career. Nobody is going to make you put in the effort. That's something that you have to do on your own. Everybody say effort. I'm going to wake y'all up this morning. Number 2, the second thing that doesn't require talent is doing extra. Nobody's going to make you do extra. Doing extra is something that you have to do on your own. And you have to care about the lesson at hand, and you got to care about what's in front of you in order for you to do extra. Do you care about your kids? You say it with your mouth, but what do you do with your actions? Sometimes when the bell rings, teachers are beating the kids to the bus, running past the bus to their cars. I understand we got appointments sometimes, but every day? Sometimes when we say our mission as educators is to educate, activate, and motivate kids to be great, the number 1 assignment of an educator is getting that kid's attention. How are we going to teach a lesson we don't have their attention? You can be the best teacher. You can have the best research. That means nothing if you don't have the attention of your children. And many of us have to get out of our box because some of y'all boring. Oh, I said it. I'm going to say it again. Some of y'all, how many boring folks in here? Where you at? Where my boring people at? Why y'all lying? We have got to adjust and we got to move with the changes. Somebody say doing extra. The third thing that doesn't require you to have any talent is being coachable. I said being coachable. Look at your neighbor and say be coachable. See, some of y'all think y'all know everything. Oh, know-it-alls. You got all them degrees, so you know it all. No, you don't know nothing, right? You have to be coachable at all times. Even the mentor needs to be mentored. Huh? Did I get anybody? I say even the mentor needs a mentor. Nobody knows everything. Always be willing to learn every single day. Look at your neighbor and say, be coachable. The fourth thing that doesn't require you to have talent is attitude. You know why? Because your attitude will determine your altitude. And many of you walking around with a bad attitude and you wonder why kids got a bad attitude. You want kids to get along, but you can't get along with people in your building. Where's that work at? You know, in the PDs, you know, I can see that when I come into a school to do a PD and I can tell teachers who don't like each other. Huh? Anybody know what I'm talking about? But we want kids to get along. See, you got to work on your attitude because your job is not how they treat you. Your assignment and your job is how you treat them. But again, that takes humility. Again, that takes servanthood. Look at your neighbor and say, get your attitude right. The fifth thing, where we on number 5? I know it's early this morning. The fifth thing that doesn't require you to have a whole lot of talent is your work ethic. I say your work ethic doesn't require you to have talent. I mentioned earlier that I know that Miss Richburg mentioned that I played in the National Football League. Well, don't get excited. NFL stands for not for long. I thought I was going to play 10 years, Dr. Cleveland. I played 10 minutes. Moved to L.A., met a young lady by the name of Dina Howard. And anyway, I got distracted out in L.A. And anybody been distracted? Why y'all looking at me funny? If I see that video come out with some of y'all faces on there from 94 in Atlanta, I'm going to talk about you real bad. I'm going to take a snapshot. You know, technology is something, isn't it? You can take a snapshot and I'm going to put you up. Who said don't do it? He said don't put her up, right? Anyway, I got distracted and I got cut by the Raiders. So I'm focused this year. Now I'm playing with the Vikings and I'm focused back on football. And we scrimmaged against the Kansas City Chiefs and I scored 3 touchdowns in the scrimmage. I said, I got him now. I'm going to make the team. Go out to practice on Monday, and I caught a pass from Warren Moon with my left hand, and I turned to go to my right and got popped in the knee. Fractured my patella, yanked my tendons out the place, game over. And I found myself limping into a classroom in 1995. Kids talking crazy. See, back then, wasn't no cell phones and cameras and stuff, right? You mind what I'm talking about? Yeah, CTE, you know, I'm still blinking up here, y'all. That CTE is something because I got in the classroom and I was at the board in my second week of teaching and a young man called me the B word. I said, he ain't talking to me. Let me go and finish writing on this board, right? He said, you heard me, B. I start blacking out and I start going in and out of consciousness. I kept shaking my head. I don't know why I did that. It was crazy, but I said, class dismissed. Kids ran out of class. It was 40 minutes left in class. I told the young man, no, you sit here. You stay here. See, the weakest man on the planet is a man who cannot control his emotions. I said the weakest man on the planet. See, we don't understand what trauma is, and that's why I responded the way I did, like a little boy. Here I am, a grown man, that's supposed to be teaching kids, and here I am responding like a little kid. Dismissed class. I was ready to be about it. So you want to be tough? I started closing the door, moving tables. Huh? Why y'all looking at me funny? Some of y'all had paddles. Don't get me started on you. Anybody get paddled when they was kids? Who got paddled? Little bad kids. Look at y'all educators now, right? I say your work ethic will get you there because what I realized when I got into my humility and got up out of my pride and I saw that young man and I saw myself when I was his age, because I remember watching this coward put his hands on my mother. when I was about 11 years old, and here I am fighting a grown man because he put his hands on my mother. And I seen this young man shaking in that chair, and I understood in that moment that it was the trauma that he was experiencing. The trauma that he was experiencing at the hands of his stepfather, the same way I did, because trauma, you experience trauma in 4 different ways. You experience trauma by something happening to you directly. You experience trauma by witnessing something happen to somebody else. You experience trauma by repeated exposure to something, and you experience trauma by hearing about something that happened to somebody else. You heard that your grandmother died. You heard that your best friend was murdered. I lost my best friend when I was 16 years old. Got killed at a party. And I come back to school traumatized, and I didn't understand what trauma is. But I was traumatized my whole life and didn't even know it. And many of us have lived through trauma. Now we acting like we don't know. That's why I say we got to put in the work, and part of the work is recognizing when you see something that you understand and you know that you have experienced some of these same things. So why are we acting like we don't know? Say work ethic. Number 6, the 6th thing that doesn't require you to have talent. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Being on time. Am I talking to anybody? I said being on time. Now, I've never done the keynote this early on a Saturday morning. I was almost late myself. Wait, can I be transparent? I had to set my clock twice, getting up this early on a Saturday morning. But being on time, because being on time sets the example, it sets the tone. And I didn't want my kids beating me, and I have to learn to lead by example. My daughters know and my son know that. I said, when you're on time, you're late. He said, what do you mean, Dad? I said, you're late. You on time. He said, I'm on time. I said, no, being on time, sometimes it's 10 minutes early. I like to get to the airport and chill. I don't like running through the airport. I live in Atlanta. I'm going to run through Atlanta airport. You're going to run on the train, jump off a train. See, you got to go to the right concourse. See, many of us have ended up at the wrong concourse because we continue to be late. And sometimes when you show up early and you can sit there and you can meditate, and you can sit there and you can pray, and you can get yourself centered before your kids come in or before your staff come in. You got to allow yourself some time for grace. Because sometimes we come in with the wrong attitude, don't we? I know we educators and I know we superheroes, but we're human beings. How many of y'all married in this room? You better learn some humility. Huh? Anybody been married for any period? I'm looking at y'all faces, boy, it's hilarious. Anybody been married for any period of time? Know that you have to learn some humility, because when you looking at somebody for all them years, and I watched Michelle Obama, and I love the Obamas, and I love Michelle and Barack, and Michelle got on there. She said, I didn't like my husband for 10 years. Anybody hear that? She said, she said, but 20 was good, but I didn't like him for 10, because many of us don't understand the sacrifices of our women and what they go through on a daily basis and the pressure that comes along with being a woman. I wish I had time to deal with this. Men, we got to be patient. See, I grew up with 4 sisters. I learned patience at a young age. 4 sisters, my mom and my grandmother. I was the only boy in the house. We had 1 restroom. I barely got a chance to use it, right? But I learned humility at a young age, and I learned how to be sensitive to things. I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. Stop coddling these young men. Am I saying that? How many of you got sons? By the time your son is 10, he should know how to wash his own clothes. And some of you saying, well, he's still young. Well, if he keep putting them jeans in the washer and they turn white, he'll learn. We have to teach our kids how to do things and stop doing things for our children. Look at your neighbor and say, be on time. The 7th thing, I know I got about 15 minutes. 7th thing that doesn't require you to have talent is your energy. Look at your neighbor and say, get your energy right. I said energy. Your energy doesn't require you to have any talent, but you have to say things to yourself and you have to affirm yourself on a daily basis. How do you affirm yourself before you walk into that building? How do you affirm yourself before you walk into that classroom? How do you affirm yourself before you get in your car in the morning? Did you just have a road rage incident? See, you got to get your energy right. Because the temperature in that building and the temperature in that classroom starts with us. And many of us, if we be honest, we're burned out That's why you got to practice self-care. You got to do things for yourself. And self-care means getting out of your element. Self-care is doing something nice for yourself. Self-care is putting on your earbuds even when you don't have any music in your ears. I do that at the gym sometimes. Because people want to talk at the gym. I just want to work out. I'm trying to get away from the world and trying to escape and work out. And people want to talk. So sometimes I put my earbuds on, nothing's playing. Somebody come up here and talk. I act like I can't hear anything they saying. I say I got to get my energy right. See, how many of you got at least one ignorant family member? Anybody got one? So you got to protect your peace at all costs. Even with family members calling you all the time, bugging you about crazy stuff. No, you got to protect your peace. Tell your neighbor, say, get your energy right. What number am I on? Is anybody awake? What number am I on? Oh, the 8th thing that doesn't require you to have any talent is your body language. I say it's your body language. See, your body language tells me all I need to know about you. See, you don't have to do a whole lot for you to respond with your body language. Your body language gives off energy. Huh? I seen a teacher going at it with a child. I can't do that. I ain't ready to argue with no kid. Huh? You arguing with children? A lot of kids are broke. I don't have time for that because I got to understand that if I don't come in with the right attitude, if I don't come in with the right body language, it changed the whole atmosphere of my house. So sometimes I had to circle around my house. I go to my house and sometimes I have to back out of the driveway. Anybody ever done that before? I said, let me get my mind right. Let me go down the street for a minute and sit, because sometimes when I get off the airplane, and some of you, Harvey, understand, and some of you folks who fly all the time, you going up and down on airplanes and you going in and out of cities. And sometimes, you got to get your attitude and you got to get your mind right. And part of that is your body language. And you have to say things to yourself and positive affirmations to affirm yourself. How you going to be going out here speaking around the world and you don't like to fly? See, some of you dealing with anxiety and you're dealing with depression. You got to learn how to speak out against that spirit. And we have to teach our kids to speak out against the spirit that's coming on our children. All the research in the world is not going to save our children. We have to get in the game. And we have to change things up with our mindsets. And we have to make sure that we teaching our young people that just because you messed up today don't mean that you can't be successful tomorrow. Because some of you running around here like you never made any bad decisions. I want you to stand up if you ever been in a toxic relationship. Stand up. I said toxic. Keep standing if you was the toxic one. Now grab a seat, grab a seat. Grab a seat. Some of y'all, you've been, stand up, you ever regretted dating somebody? Keep standing if somebody ever regretted dating you. Grab a seat, grab a seat. I want you to stand up. You ever drank punch out of a large container that had fruit chopped up in it? I want you to stand. I just want to see where you at. Wondering why you got memory loss. Grab a seat. See, many of us have made some questionable decisions. I used to make the Kappa punch, and we didn't have a whole lot of money. We had some, what's up, Noop? I see you in the back. We didn't have a whole lot of money. We had, so I got some Mad Dog 2020 and some, Hey, cover your ears, young lady. Mackenzie, cover your ears. I got some Cisco. Anybody remember Cisco? Get some Cisco, some Mad Dog 2020. What else we had? Some E&J, some Irk and Jerk. Huh? And we get a trash can. And we would chop up fruit, and we would put it in this trash can, and we put some Hawaiian punch in there, and we had some red cups, and my frat brother said, did anybody ask you what you put in the punch? I said, no, man, they just asked me for a cup. Stand up if you ever had a friend betray you. You've been betrayed by your friend. See what I mean? Grab a seat. Why do we act like we haven't gone through nothing, y'all? Our kids are going through what we've gone through times 1,000 because now they got social media. And they speak their sober thoughts on social media. Sometimes you want to know what your kids thinking? Go to their social media page. They're going to tell everybody. We kept some things discreet. I don't want everybody knowing everything about me, right? Some of you haven't learned the lesson yet. I said 10 things that don't require any talent. What number we on? We on number 9. Y'all still with me this morning? I got a few minutes left. Let me give you number 9. The 9th thing that doesn't require you to have any talent is your passion. You got to be passionate about this work. I said you got to be passionate about it. Nobody can teach you how to be passionate. That's something that's got to come from within. Anybody who's been doing this work for any amount of time, you're not going to stay in this if you're not passionate about it. And then you have kids coming back, and they're not kids no more. What do your kids come back? What do they say to you? See, that's one of the biggest compliments is when your students come back and thank you for what you've done for them. I said, what did I do? He said, because kids never remember everything you taught them, but they remember how you made them feel. That's why emotional intelligence is important, because we got to learn how to manage our emotions and learn how to manage the emotions of others. But being passionate about this work is something that has to exude from you on a daily basis. First of all, I commend you for being here this morning, being here this early. Getting up that early in the morning on a Saturday, I commend you for being here, and I commend the conference committee for putting this together, but you have to be passionate about this work. Anybody passionate this morning? All 3 of y'all. What y'all drinking? You still got that punch? You don't even remember what you drank last night. Last but not least, the last thing that doesn't require you to have any talent is being prepared. I said being prepared, because proper preparation prevents poor performance. If you've been doing this for any amount of time, you made some mistakes. I remember one time I taught the lesson wrong. Anybody ever done that? Raise your hand if you taught the lesson wrong. Huh? I taught the lesson wrong, and I'm up there teaching and stuff, and the class is over, and a young man come up to me and said, Mr. Jackson, you know you taught that wrong. I said, why didn't you tell me? He said, man, you so excited, I didn't want to embarrass you. So I had to get up the next morning in my classroom, and I had to apologize to my students, because your apology means a lot. 10 things that don't require talent. What's number 1? I can't hear you. What's number 1? Second thing, what is it? What's number 3? Being coachable. What's number 4? Your attitude will determine your altitude. What's number 5? Work ethic. What's number 6? And when you're on time, you're what? You're late. There you go. Somebody listen. What's number 7? Your energy is contagious. Control the temperature. And if the temperature's not right, the kid's not going to be right, the staff's not going to be right, nobody's going to be right. What number we on? What's number 8? Get your body language right. What's number 9? What's number 10? Being prepared. You can't do anything about what you've already done. We got to learn how to move forward. And that means you got to divorce yourself from the past, because if you don't divorce yourself from the past, you're going to paralyze yourself in the past. Anybody ever been paralyzed in the past? There is no such thing as a perfect parent. Huh? I say there's no such thing as a perfect parent. Stop talking about parents. See, teachers cannot water a seed that parents don't plant. A teacher can't water a seed that a parent don't plant. But as a teacher, I had to learn how to plant some seeds myself. I can't water it, but I can plant it. There's no such thing as a perfect parent, because parents are sending their best kids to school every day. Raise your hand if your biological children ever got in trouble in school. Raise your hands high. Don't be putting your pinky up. Look at all these folks. How did you feel when your kids got in trouble? Somebody say you was embarrassed. What else? Huh? You felt like wringing their neck. Anybody else? Chance to learn the lesson. We have got to learn how to walk in love. Our kid's not the only one made mistakes. I got suspended plenty of times. So when my son was acting out, I was trying to act like parent of the year. I know my son ain't acting up. When you say some ignorant stuff like that, it means you lost control of the whole situation. Because we got to learn how to walk in love. Raise your hand if you walk in love every day. Why y'all lying? Why y'all lying? Raise your hand if you try to walk in love every day. There we go. All right. And some of you say, well, how do I know if I'm walking in love? Well, love is patient. Huh? Are you patient? See, love is kind. Are you kind to people, or are you going to mean mug everybody every day? Huh? See, love doesn't envy. Huh? Am I talking to you? Say you walk in love, right? See, love doesn't boast. See, in the Bible it says, You would be exalted in due time. So you got to let other people exalt you. Always want to exalt yourself with your awards and all your accolades. I don't look at none of that stuff. I get them awards and I put them in a box somewhere because I'm going to stay humble and I'm going to stay in my humility and stay out of my pride. Love isn't quick to anger. Some of you get angry about little bitty things and you wonder why you got hypertension. Stop being angry so much and get off and wean yourself off that medicine unless it's hereditary. Love doesn't keep records of wrongs. How many of you married again? Stop keeping records. Yeah, I know it's hard. I hear you back here. Bringing up something that happened 20 years ago. Stop! 20 years and went by, you still bringing it up. We got to learn how to heal from some stuff, y'all, or move on. I say heal or move on. That's not walking in love when you keep in score. Because when you keep in score, you got to make sure you're keeping up with your stuff too. Because some of the stuff you doing, people don't know about. Some of y'all know how to hide stuff. Don't be whispering back here. I know I'm telling the truth. High-fiving each other. Stop that. Love does not rejoice in evil. We got people who get happy when folks are struggling. That's not love. Love is honest. Some of y'all lie too much. I said, some of you lie too much. Talking about you got your degree, got your PhD, and you got this, that. Stop lying. Putting all these labels and stuff trying to impress people who ain't going to like you anyway. I have learned a long time ago to divorce myself from people. I'm not in here for nobody's opinion. I don't go around and speaking and doing what God has called me to do for somebody's opinion. I don't even read that mess. Man, you see what they wrote about you? I said, no, I don't read that mess. I got somebody else monitor my page. Oh, and I learned how to block people a long time ago. See, y'all, you press the block button. Why are you arguing with people? We have to learn how to divorce ourselves from ignorance. See, ignorance is the fact of not knowing, but the refusal to become educated is purposeful. I say ignorance is the fact of not knowing, but the refusal to become educated about the things that matter, that's on purpose. See, distractions are contusions of the mind that cause you to be confused. I said distractions are contusions of the mind that cause confusion. You want to connect with kids? Well, I'm going to close with this. There's 6 things that we have to do to connect with our children. Repeat after me. Say love, trust, fairness, support, accountability, safety. Because there are 4 needs of every child. The first need that every child has is acceptance. I said acceptance. Number 2 is significance. Number 3 is security. And last but not least is purpose. And purpose is your reason for living. I said acceptance. Acceptance is the feeling of being loved. Every kid that we come into contact with wants to feel loved. But that's a need for us too. Everybody in this room want to feel loved. Number 2 is significance. And that's the feeling of being special. Kids want to feel like they special because they've been torn down so much at home. We have the ability to lift them up within our arena in the school setting. Number 3 is security, and that's not just being protected in the physical sense, but we got to do a better job of protecting emotions. And last but not least is purpose, and that's your reason for living. And I put this picture up here because I was speaking about 8 years ago in Houston, Texas. And there was a young man in the background heckling and cussing and talking crazy and yelling out stuff. See, back in the days, I would have handled it totally different, Dr. Jones. I tell you, when the young man called me the B word, I started blanking out and why y'all being judgmental? Losing control of my emotions. And this young man's in the background yelling and talking crazy. I said, be quiet. And I kept on talking. He said, you be quiet. You know, he kept on talking back and forth and yelling and saying stuff in the back. And finally, the principal came in and said, you, come with me. You leaving here. I said, no, he ain't leaving there. Come up front. I said, tough man, come on up here. So he walks up front, and he's looking like, what do I do now? I said, why you back here acting up? He said, man, I don't want to be in here. I said, give me a hug then. And I grabbed him, and I just hugged him real tight. He said, let me go. I said, I'm going to let you go when you hug me back. So the kids was laughing, making fun of him and stuff. And by this time, I got my arms wrapped around him pretty tight. and he know he can't get out of it, so he whispered in my ear. He said, if I hug you, will you let me go? I said, yeah. So he hugged me, and I hugged him real tight. He said, let me go then. I said, get your butt over there and sit down somewhere. And the other kids was laughing and talking about him, and I grabbed him, whispered in his ear. I said, boy, you better be glad you ain't catch me 25 years ago. Now go sit down somewhere and be quiet. I finished the presentation with the kids, and I went out in the hallway. Guess who was sitting on the floor? This young man. I went to do a PD with the staff. I talked to him when he was sitting on the floor, and I thought he had gone about his way. School was over. School buses left. I did a PD with the staff, and I come out to my car, and guess who's sitting by the car? Sitting right there on the curb, this young man. When kids are coming to you like that, they are striving for attention. They're trying to tell you everything you need to know because misbehavior is the language of trauma. And I'm closing, sir. I know. That's when the man come up front, he said, it's time to close, man. I've been doing this for a long time. Misbehavior is not the language that you've done something wrong as an educator. Misbehavior is the language of trauma. And many of our kids have been traumatized too long. So this young man comes up to me and he started explaining his story to me and telling me how he's gone through some bad situations. He told me that he's never had a suit. He told me nobody's ever believed in him. He was homeless at the time. I took him to K&G's and I said, I'm going to get you a suit. He said, which one should I get? I said, I'm going to get you all three. So you know what he did next? He went and bought a shirt. He went and got 2 shirts, some shoes, went and got belts. See, when you give them an inch, they want a yard. And not only did we buy him a suit, we got him in a situation where he can get some housing. And his father's in prison. His mother was on crack. See, many times we don't get to the root of the problem because we're too busy focusing in on the behavior. Sometimes we have to dig a little deeper. To this day, it's 8 years have gone by. Every month, I get a phone call from this young man. I was in Canada 3 weeks ago. Young man called me while I was at the airport. I just want to check on you, Mr. Jackson, see how you're doing, because now he's at Texas Southern University in Texas. Don't tell me our kids can't be successful, because many of us have given up too quick on our children, and we stay in touch to this day, and every holiday I hear from this young man. I want to leave you with this, because many times we give up on children too quick. Happiness is the new rich. I say happiness is the new rich. Kindness is the new cool. Health is the new wealth. Inner peace is the new success. Because when you're happy, you're rich. When you're kind, you're cool. When you're healthy, you're wealthy. When you're peaceful, you're successful. Thank y'all for having me this morning. Enjoy your morning. Thank you.
Listen, let's give one more round of applause to my brother, Robert Jackson.
Appreciate y'all. Got my social media up here. I keep on forgetting to post. My wife get on me about it. You can follow me on Instagram at Rob J Motivates. You can follow me on Twitter at RJ Motivates. Anybody on MySpace? Okay. Then get off that punch. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Robert has a table right outside the doors, some books, and you should stop by and see him on your way out. This concludes our morning plenary session. Our next closing plenary session will be at 3 this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing everyone then. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.